What really happened to Ace Frehley, the legendary spaceman who once set the stage on fire and redefined rock itself? When news broke that the former Kiss guitarist had passed away, fans were heartbroken. But when the official cause of death was finally revealed, the truth hit harder than anyone expected, because what started as a simple fall, something that barely made headlines, turned out to be the beginning of a tragedy that no one saw coming. And the deeper you look into the final days of Ace Frehley's life, the more haunting the story becomes. But to understand how the spaceman's final act unfolded, we have to rewind back to the rise, the fame, and the unraveling of a rock icon. Long before the headlines and heartbreak, Ace Frehley was just Paul Daniel Frehley, a kid from the Bronx with a cheap guitar, big dreams, and a knack for turning chaos into sound. He wasn't polished, he wasn't trained, but that raw, unpredictable energy became his secret weapon. By the early 70s, that weapon found its perfect stage. Alongside Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, and Peter Criss, Ace became one of the founding forces behind Kiss. A band that didn't just play music, they built a spectacle. The makeup, the flames, the costumes, it was pure shock rock, and Ace's spaceman persona made him an instant fan favorite. His riffs were electric, his solos wild, and his presence almost otherworldly. He wasn't just playing guitar. He was performing like he came from another planet. His sound defined the band's golden years, powering hits like Shock Me and Cold Gin. But even in those glory days, the cracks were already showing. Fame came fast, and with it came the chaos. The endless tours, the pressure, the temptations. By the early 80s, Ace had walked away from the band he helped create, saying he needed to find himself again. He tried to rebuild, solo albums, smaller tours, new music. But life after Kiss was never quite the same. Still, fans stayed loyal. They believed in him. They believed the spaceman would always rise again. But as the years went on and health problems began to surface, whispers grew louder. Ace wasn't doing well. And when he canceled shows earlier this year, fans feared the worst. Because what started as a minor accident was about to become something far more tragic. It started quietly, just a short post on Ace Frehley's official page back in September. His team announced that a few upcoming shows were being postponed due to ongoing medical issues. At first, no one thought much of it. After all, Ace was 74, still rocking stages, still carrying that same wild spark. A short break made sense, but behind the scenes, things were much more serious than anyone knew. Reports later revealed that Ace had suffered a fall inside his New York home, a freak accident that would set off a chain of devastating events. At first it sounded minor, a stumble, a few bruises. Friends said he laughed it off. But just days later, he began experiencing severe headaches and confusion. Doctors soon discovered a brain bleed, the kind that can turn fatal within hours if untreated. He was rushed to the hospital and placed under observation, but his condition continued to worsen. Tour dates were quietly canceled. His management went silent. Fans online began to speculate. Was Ace hiding a more serious illness? Some even wondered if the rock icon had suffered a stroke. Still, official updates stayed vague. His family reportedly asked for privacy, saying only that Ace was resting and recovering. But the truth was, he wasn't recovering at all. Behind closed doors, the once unstoppable spaceman was fighting for his life. And when the news finally broke that Ace Frehley had been placed on life support, the rock world froze. The same man who had survived car crashes, addictions, and decades of chaos was now hanging on by a thread. By mid-October, whispers had turned into breaking news. Ace Frehley, the original spaceman of Kiss, was reportedly on life support following a massive brain bleed. Fans flooded social media with prayers, disbelief, and heartbreak. How could a simple fall lead to this? According to reports from close family sources, Ace had been rushed back to the hospital after suddenly collapsing at home. Doctors confirmed he had suffered severe blunt head trauma, which caused internal bleeding in his brain. He was placed on a ventilator, sedated, and surrounded by his loved ones as his condition declined. What stunned everyone most was how fast it all happened. Just weeks before, Ace was posting lighthearted photos from his studio, smiling, joking, even hinting at new music. No one could have imagined those would be his final moments of public joy. Inside the hospital, the family faced an impossible choice. Days of silent vigil turned into quiet goodbyes as doctors confirmed that his injuries were irreversible. And on October 16, 2025, the rock world lost one of its loudest, brightest flames. Ace Frehley passed away peacefully, with family by his side. The announcement hit like a shockwave. Fans mourned, fellow musicians posted tributes, and even KISS co-founders Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, despite their rocky history, spoke out, calling Ace a true original and a once-in-a-lifetime talent. But even then, there was one question that refused to fade. What exactly caused his death? Because the official word hadn't come out yet, and when it finally did, it stunned everyone. For weeks, speculation filled the gap that silence left behind. Some believed Ace had suffered complications from an earlier surgery, while others whispered about hidden health issues. But on November 10th, the truth finally surfaced, and it was as heartbreaking as it was unexpected. According to the Morris County Medical Examiner's Office, Ace Frehley's official cause of death was ruled as blunt trauma to the head, sustained from an accidental fall at his home. The report detailed that the impact caused a skull fracture, a subdural hematoma, essentially a severe brain bleed, and eventually a stroke that his body couldn't recover from. The ruling was clear: accidental. No foul play. No mystery toxins, just a tragic freak accident that spiraled beyond control. It's chilling when you think about it. One small slip, and a rock legend was gone. Sources close to his family revealed that Ace had been in and out of medical care in the months prior, dealing with mobility issues and minor balance problems. Fans online now wonder if those were early warning signs that went unnoticed. The report closed a chapter the rock world didn't want to end, but it also opened a painful new one, because even though the medical facts were clear, the emotional questions still lingered. How does a man who survived decades of chaos, car crashes, addictions, and near-death experiences lose it all to a simple fall at home? The irony is haunting, and it left millions asking what really happened in those final days. The moment Ace Frehley's passing was confirmed, tributes poured in from every corner of the music world. From veteran rockers to new-age guitarists, everyone had a story about how the spaceman changed their lives. Gene Simmons, his longtime bandmate and one-time rival, posted a rare, emotional message: "There will never be another Ace. He was chaos and creativity wrapped into one." Paul Stanley echoed that sentiment, calling Ace the spark that made KISS dangerous, unpredictable, and unforgettable. You could feel the grief ripple through social media. Rock radio stations played Shock Me and New York Groove on repeat. Murals began popping up in New York City and Los Angeles, spray-painted tributes with his signature silver lightning makeup. Fans lit candles outside old KISS venues, leaving guitars and vinyls at makeshift memorials. Younger artists like Tom Morello and Mike McCready also shared their admiration, saying Ace's wild, melodic solos shaped the sound of modern rock. His influence had reached far beyond the platform boots and pyrotechnics. It was in every distorted riff that came after him. Ace wasn't just another rock star. He was a symbol of rebellion, proof that imperfection could be powerful. He played sloppy sometimes, but it worked. It was real, raw, alive, and now he holds a bittersweet title, the first member of the original KISS lineup to pass away. It marked the end of an era, not just for the band, but for an entire generation of fans who grew up believing rock stars were immortal. Even with the official report labeling Ace Frehley's death as an accident, fans and online forums began digging deeper. Speculation swirled. Was it really just a simple fall? Or were there underlying health issues that made one stumble so deadly? Some pointed to his recent history, minor surgeries, balance problems, and a canceled tour, and asked whether something had been overlooked. A Reddit thread went viral, with users piecing together timelines, medical reports, and photos from his final months. One comment read, "The autopsy said fall, but toxicology reports aren't public yet. Could there be more we don't know?" Others focused on the minor nature of the fall itself. How does a rock legend, who survived decades of hard living, collapse from what seemed like a small accident? Fans debated whether earlier intervention could have saved him, or if the damage was unavoidable. Rumors also surfaced about behind-the-scenes pressures, unfinished projects, commitments to his fans, and lingering health struggles, creating a narrative that the spaceman may have been pushing his limits right to the end. While no evidence has contradicted the official report, the curiosity persists. Ace Frehley's death, like his life, has shades of mystery and contradiction. Even now, fans are still piecing together the final days of a man who lived loud, fast, and untamed. Behind the makeup, the pyrotechnics, and the screaming fans, Ace Frehley was, first and foremost, a human being. A man who faced